Welcome to the Bootleg Baptist. My name is Nick Staley. I am a pastor and elder at One Life Church in Flint, Michigan. Yeah, that Flint, Michigan. I used to have a podcast that some have heard of. It was called the Bad Baptist Podcast. I was half of that podcast. I'm a husband for almost 20 years. Have 6 children, 1 grandchild. Homeschooled those kids, not all of them. That we'll talk about that in an episode at some point. But homeschooling daddy with a full-time mom, bivocational, do multiple things. But I'm here today to tell you about what I plan on doing with the Bootleg Baptist Podcast because I think it matters. I think let me just start with telling you about the name Bootleg Baptist, because the idea of bootlegging is the idea of smuggling. The idea of smuggling in alcohol, specifically during the time of Prohibition. But during that time, they'd had to obviously hide it, and it was the church that was the driving force behind Prohibition. Well, they had to smuggle it in. Well, as a bootleg Baptist, I'm sick of smuggling it in. To be honest with you, I don't really smuggle much. I'm pretty open in who I am. I enjoy a beer. I enjoy a cigar. I enjoy a pipe. Enjoy a glass of wine. And most people know that about me. But for the rest of you, I know a lot of faithful brothers out there that are Baptists that enjoy a beer, but they would never tell anybody about that. That enjoy a cigar, but again, would never tell anybody at their church about it because they would freak out. Let's use the word that the society uses. It's time to come out. It's time to tell you that, you know what? We drink beer and we're Baptists. Because you see, our Presbyterian brothers, they've enjoyed whiskey and bourbon and beer and cigars and pipes for years. But we as Baptists have hidden it. And I don't think we need to hide it anymore. As for right now, if you're bootlegging it, it's kind of saddened, but that's what we are. That's what we're planning on doing. But look, I'll get more in a minute on what this means, but just the idea of smuggling it in. And we're going to get to the point where, we're comfortable. We trust Christ. That we're free. We are the most free men on the planet. We don't need to set it apart with odd legal pseudo sins created by Christian culture. So I'm calling this Rustic Talk for Christian Men. And the idea of a rustic talk is actually stolen from John Plowman's talk by Charles Haddon Spurgeon, the patron saint of us Baptists. You Presbyterians, I don't know, Owen or whoever you have. But we love our Spurgeon. Actually, a lot of our Presbyterians brothers love him too. Actually, and I love John Owen, so let's just be honest. We just may see baptism different. But the idea of rustic talk is the idea of a talk for Christian men that's plain and simple. I love podcasts. I preach semi-regularly at my church. I love deep theology. But one thing the church lacks is at least us Reformed folks. Mind you, I am a 5-point Calvinist. I will not hide behind that. I'm a Reformed brother. I am a 1689 confessing guy. But a lot of us Reformed folks like to fill our head. But oftentimes the head knowledge doesn't translate to the heart, which moves our feet into action and shows the practicality of many things. There's practical application. I think in the Christian life right now, we're really confused on what we should do. So I want to really create a podcast because, mind you, I am a pastor, but I wasn't raised up the way probably a vast majority of pastors today are. I have not been to seminary. I'm not that guy. I'm kind of a average guy when it comes to most things. I like to read. If you ever see my pub, which I'm in right now recording, it's full of books. I love books. I have plenty of books that I've read, and books that I refer to often. But I think we're missing that application like the Puritans had of the Christian life is more than theology. It's theology lived out as well. I'm not definitely not some like seeker sensitive guy, not at all. Rather, I want us men to be men again. See us men actually be men and talk about things that men are actually concerned with. Here's the thing. I'm concerned with the sovereignty of God and that doctrine. I'm concerned with the Trinity, but I'm equally concerned and interested in wanting to know more about how to actually walk as a Christian. Because as I said, I work a secular job as well as as one of the pastors and elders of my church. So I do multiple things, and oftentimes my Sunday and my Tuesday don't collide as much as they should. See, every Tuesday is just another day to glorify God, but it's how to live that out. It's what matters. So that's what I plan on reaching out to you if you're watching this. If you're not a genius, if you are one, I hope I can bless you. But if you're just the average guy, I pray that this will be a blessing to you as we go forward. So, hold on. I need a drink of my beer. So, what I plan on talking is about things that actually matter. Here's some ideas, and you're welcome to comment below, or if you listen to it on podcast, send me an email at bootlegbaptist@gmail.com for some ideas. But things I want to talk about, to really for us men, is things like being a good husband. What does it look like? Being a father. What does that look like? Homeschooling. Cigars. Let's talk cigars. I mean, there's all kinds of things you should know about cigars. Actually, funny. What I'm thinking here is there's a website out there called The Art of Manliness. It's a pretty cool website. I don't know if he has a podcast. I'd imagine the guy does. But last I knew he was a Mormon. But his stuff was really good on content, on just like manliness, like how to tie a tie, how to trim a beard. Really practical things. And why not, rather than reinvent making something new, let's just take his idea and roll with it. Let's talk about things like style. I mean, style is actually something we all think about. If you say you don't have a style, or you just shop at Walmart, it's still a style. It's still a way you're dressing, because if you go to sub-Saharan Africa, they're not dressing the same way. So we all have some bit of style. We can talk about these things. Let's talk about suits, but let's talk about work. Let's talk about the theology of work, of things to do. Let's talk about what it is to run a business or own a business. What about the trades? What about how to raise your kids to get into the trades? What about college? What do we think about that? What about our daughters? What do we do about them when they get older, if they're little, like mine are still just 14 and 15 years old? What do I do with them when it comes time for them to grow up, to move out, to move on? Like, these are the kind of things that actually matter, and I don't think we think about enough. So those are the kind of things I plan on talking about. And right now it's just me. I do plan on having some guests, people that are maybe specialists in some of these fields we're talking about, or just some guys that are quite knowledgeable about these things. We don't always have to be an expert to be an expert. You don't have to go to college to be the smartest guy in the world. College is just a tool. So these are the kind of things, though, I really want to talk about, and I want to have guests on. Sometimes you might see a guy sitting next to me locally, one of my brothers or one of the guys from church, having a discussion. There's some guys that actually this is connected with that kind of got me thinking this way. Again, I hadn't honestly thought about this in a long time, of starting a podcast like this, but the Reformed Man, which I encourage you, which will probably be in the description, blessing them, to go ahead and follow those guys and check out what they're doing. They're a couple of barbers that are of the Reformed tradition who are trying to get stuff like this into the hands of guys. I think it's something we need again. I love guys like James White and Durbin and these kind of guys, and I love what they're doing. And I want to I just want to bring something to the table that we all need to talk about, something that is just us being guys. So I really hope that once this drops on the podcast feeds, which it will here soon, once it drops on there, you'll subscribe to it. I won't do every single one of these as a video. Oftentimes it'll just be a podcast, because to be honest with you, it's just me recording it and me editing it. And so it may be easier sometimes just to do audio. It all depends. But no matter what, you'll see updates on our Facebook page, Instagram. We have that now. And I'll get some stuff out there. So if you know some men that are some specialists and some ideas that you think might even be willing to talk with me a little bit, or have a conversation via Zoom or whatever medium we use to record it. But if there's guys out there you think would be a blessing, and they're in a specific thing you want to know about. I mean, honestly, I think a good discussion on cigars, the types, the cuts, how to smoke one, lighting them, all that stuff would actually be a fruitful thing for us as guys to know, because it wasn't too long ago that our forefathers enjoyed a cigar to the glory of God. So I plan on us talking about just things that matter. I mean, things that your average guy is actually thinking. Sports. It's funny. One of my kids said, "Dad, why don't you talk about like comic books sometimes?" Hey, it's who says we can't. I kind of enjoy that stuff anyways. So, anyways, as an average guy, as a rustic man, I want to encourage you with some rustic talk, just some plain, simple talk to get us thinking, to get us living, to grow us in the grace and knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ, to be fruitful men who don't just look at tomorrow that everything is zapped away and we're raptured up. Rather, guys that build a legacy, guys that are thinking of their next generation, the next generation, the next generation beyond that. Building. We want to be guys that are building. So I hope that makes sense. I honestly don't know. It's just me in a room by myself. What I said may not have made any sense at all, but I think it did. And I think you know where I'm going with this. So if you enjoy it, feel free to share it. Let this get around a little bit. I'd love to see that. I plan on recording one a week as best I can. There may be weeks where I miss. It's just part of being a bivocational pastor. You're not always free. But as often as I can, I will get these out there. I'm hoping for like once a week you'll hear or see from me, or both. And keep an eye on the page. I plan on posting stuff and getting some discussions going, talking, posting memes. I love memes. Let's just be honest. I honestly think that's an art that's missing. We don't acknowledge it as an art. But that's kind of what I want to do. I think we just need to get back to men being men, especially in a culture that's extremely effeminate. Guys don't even know what guys are anymore. Heck, there's boys out there, I ain't gonna call them men, they want to be girls and dress like girls and get things chopped. Let's just be honest, it's stupid. So that's what I plan on doing. Plan on reaching you guys of just talking about the average stuff, the stuff that matters, manly stuff. Some of this will be practical to you ladies. Sure it will be. But I'm really reaching to you guys. That's my goal. So as a pastor, I think it would be a blessing to my church. So therefore, I think it could be a blessing to the larger church. So I think that's about all I got. Yeah, that's about all I got. So I think on my sending forth, I'm going to drink a beer, enjoy my cigar. And if that offended you, go somewhere else. Thanks.